Welcome to Fireside Forge. I'm your host, Citrin, the Armored Sloth, and I've got Tangle, Philip, and Jan. Are you in here too?
Hi.
Yeah, I also have Jan here. Today's topic is our favorite media of 2020/2021.
Who wants to go first?
Oh,
Because y'all already know what I'm
Boy.
about to talk about.
You can always just get it out of the
I
way.
actually don't.
You do.
I'm gonna talk about Cowboy Show. I freaking love Cowboy Show. It's
Oh
so good.
no.
Like,
I told you.
okay,
Here I am thinking you're gonna pick out Rookie Historian, but here we go.
Yeah, no, I get to do Rookie Story because I
Oh,
discovered
dang
it in 2020.
That's true. That is true. Okay, there's a new show called Yellowstone. I don't remember. It's not like
It's not that new.
I think you have to buy it on Prime or something like that. Because my roommate bought it. That's the only reason I got to see it. Because I don't think it's necessarily on streaming platforms right now. But it's about this ranch in Montana that's like near the Yellowstone like national park, and it's really freaking good. Like I love cowboys so freaking much. Like I've always really liked cowboys just because like I grew up in the city, and like I feel like the cowboy way of life is like kind of mysterious and cool. Just because like shut up, shut your freaking mouth. Just because just because it seems like people who do farming and stuff like that are really in touch with the land and like the animals around them. This culture of like respect and like honor and stuff. But like city people are garbage and don't understand that. So
we
I
respect
like
city
cowboys.
people. We respect city people. This
I don't.
podcast is all inclusive.
I don't
Really
respect.
don't?
I grew up in
Yeah.
the city. I don't respect city people. I'm
There goes
so
90% of
sorry.
our listeners.
It's fine. I'm willing
I'm
to take
city
that out.
people. I'm the people in this post.
Yeah,
I'm
we hate
also
you. I'm
the
sorry.
people in this post. But it's so good. It's like it has the perfect balance of like drama and like interpersonal relationships and like cute moments and violence, and it's like the whole package. And all the like I don't even care that much about shipping at this point in my life, but all of the ships in the show are good. Like they're all good. Honestly. Like every single one of them. I root for all of them. But
Alright, the question is, which one are you simping for right now?
it's there's a character named Rip Walker, and I simp very hard for him because he's just like angry cowboy man who will like kill people and throw people around that are like twice his size, but he's like really soft for his girlfriend, and I'm like, yes, let's freaking go. He's so good. I love him so much. Also, he like loves the ranch owner like he's like his own dad, and I'm like, adoptive rights in this bunch, please. So that's also really good. But the show is just really good. Like it's fantastic. It's kind of annoying though because I got through all 3 seasons, and I have no idea when season 4 is gonna come out, and I'm so upset that I don't get to watch cowboys kill people. I'm just angry.
Wow, that's certainly a way to put that.
Cowboys kill people.
Basically. But it's cool though. I think also Weathering with You, which I think actually came out in 2019, but the first time I watched
So
it was
good, though.
2020.
It's so
It's
good,
really
though.
it's directed by Makoto Shinkai, so you already know it's about to be lit.
Y'all already know.
Y'all already know, and it was lit. It's such a good movie. Also, the main characters from Your Name, Kimi no Nawa, they make cameo appearances in this movie, and I screamed so loud.
Yo, Makoto Shinkai's 2 biggest simps have entered the chat.
Yes,
The hype
basically.
men have arrived.
This is a Makoto Shinkai stan account now.
Apparently, goodness gracious.
Like, look, the animation's really good. The story is really good. The romance is believable. Like,
I'm not gonna
Japan
lie.
does the most.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know who this is.
That's fine. You can look it up.
Wait, have you not seen Your Name?
Oh, is that dude?
He's not an anime guy, dude.
I've seen Your Name. Actually, when I went to Chicago, I was forced into a small room and force-fed instant Japanese desserts, and I watched that movie and I cried and had digestive failure at the same time.
Okay, that's
Wow.
valid. You're not, because I was about to say, if you haven't seen Your Name, you're canceled, and I'm just gonna boot you. So
I haven't seen any of those. I don't know what it is. I guess when Your Name came out, there was like, I don't know, maybe it was at a point where I just wasn't into like romance-based storytelling or whatever.
it's not just about the romance.
There's so
let me
much more
finish.
to it.
Let me finish before you boot me, okay? Give me the last word. Okay. So I don't know. That came out like what, last year or something, or years ago?
Kinda, something
No,
like that.
it came out like 2017. I was still in college when that movie came out, so it had
So
to be
years
like
ago.
I don't know. I don't know if it was because everyone was talking about it or because like people were saying it was kind of okay or whatever. That I just never
wrong.
got around to watching it for some reason, or maybe because I was like, oh, it's a cutesy anime, not for me. Bye. I'll have to sit down and actually
Bruh!
watch it sometime. I don't know,
I'm
man.
literally hold me back. I'm really about to fight right now.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you back to
Listen,
the internet.
listen.
Hold my power.
It's basically like if there isn't like a big fist fight, I'm not interested. That's just how the yonder brain works.
Imagine not simping this
It's
movie.
your name is a pretty good movie. My one
It is a pretty
complaint
good movie.
Guys,
Thank you.
it's kind of like a J.J.
movie
Abrams film,
movie.
but in anime because it's so shiny and there's like a
JJ
crap ton
what?
of lens flare.
Yeah, who?
J.J. Abrams,
Who?
he did Star
Yeah,
Trek.
who? Oh, okay. Shut up, Tangle.
Oh wow, so
Okay.
anyways, obviously we see who watches what.
We're
That's fine.
animation people. We're not gonna freaking know who.
I mean, but you know what Star Trek is.
I do know what Star Trek is, but like,
Okay.
JJ Abrams was the guy who directed that Star Wars movie everyone hated.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm
Which one?
confused. I'm
The
confused
first
now.
and last one. He did the Force Awakens and also Rise of Skywalker.
Oh yeah, the movies everyone hates.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah, see that's where I remember that name.
honestly, I don't hate those movies. They didn't
do.
leave much of an impression on me. So like, I don't hate them. I don't think they're good storytelling necessarily, but like, I don't hate them.
You should hate
The
them.
one. What was the one we saw in movies?
I hate
in the
hate
movies.
what they did to Finn. I hate that.
They
but
shafted him so fucking hard. Don't at me.
Also, for
They
anyone
shafted
listening to
Marie.
this podcast right now, this is a Raylo hate zone. So just
Yeah,
letting you know.
yeah, honestly.
Yeah,
I
see,
don't
I don't understand. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, no, okay, I'm one of those people that has Raylo blacklisted because the ship makes me that uncomfortable. I'm
Me.
sorry.
It's
literally
odd.
me
I'm sorry.
also.
Like, to the people who, like, rewrite it to make it, like, healthier, you're valid, but I personally cannot and I personally do not understand how someone can take a look at that ship and think it's remotely healthy. I'm sorry.
I
Yeah, I'm
have
sorry,
such
man.
difficulty.
All the Raylos are gonna come and cancel us.
Yeah,
I have
right.
such
In the
difficulty getting
I'll fight
behind
every
it.
one of you in the comments. I really will do it.
You know, having been in an abusive relationship myself, it's very hard to even entertain the idea of Raylo being a thing when they both were pretty dang abusive to each other in different ways. And then for
Yeah.
them to go, oh, they had a happy, lovely thing right then, and then he dies or whatever, and this is supposed to be super romantic or whatever. And I'm like, no, this is like the worst nightmare for me. Like, I don't use the word triggering very liberally, but that was close.
Yeah,
Felt that.
I feel like I
Okay.
feel like most of the people who ship Raylo are like teenage girls that have never been in a relationship. So they like see this like tall, dark, and handsome dude, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's super angsty, and yeah, they're gonna be together, and it's just terrible. Like it's bad. I'm sorry, everyone. Except I'm not sorry, but
There's like an exasperation in your voice that I find hilarious. You're like, it's just terrible.
it really is. Also, like,
No,
Ray and
but
Finn are so
Tangle, it's
cute.
my space Zutara. You can't take my space Zutara away from
It's
me.
not Zutara, you piece of crap teenage girl. I can't.
Oh my gosh.
Please.
Gosh. Like, Zuko actually had like a redemption arc and like
Was
kind of
well written.
actually made amends with Katara. So even though I'm kind of like a non-actor in the Atlas ship wars, at least Zutara makes sense. Like that makes sense to me. But
All
like,
right, I gotta say
Raylo,
something
no.
controversial. Can I say
Oh,
something
no.
controversial?
No. Well, yes, go for it.
Controversial in the animation sense. Okay, so like you, I have no skin in the Atlas Ship War game because like that's not how I engage with the Avatar media at all. But I recognize that like Katara and Aang were a thing, but I don't really think they have very good chemistry. And
They don't.
I think Zutara just kind of is a little better. I am
They do vibe a
recognizing
little bit
like
better.
before y'all jump in the comments and
No,
like start screaming at me.
in,
I
like, the first
recognize.
season, you are correct.
Yeah, but like
It's
do not at me, okay?
It's kind of like an open secret. One of the main writers of the show that tended to write a lot of the Katara Aang moments actually had a lot of disdain for Zuko specifically, and that he was kind of like this nerdy dude, and it was kind of like almost a self-fulfillment fantasy for him that the scrawny white kid would get the hot chick or something like that. And like
Okay,
that's
like,
kind of the vibes that
what?
we were that was coming from these different interviews and stuff. Like you can actually find different things where he actually talked about this, how he talked about how he would hate for Zuko to end up with Katara because he like Aang's like the hero of the world, and for Zuko to get the girl would be so messed up and things like that. Like
wait,
no, like
this
it's
ship,
legitimately weird, but there's
like,
stuff
okay,
out there.
the ship, it makes me so uncomfortable because the whole time Katara feels more like his mom than his girlfriend. And it like has a weird like
True.
Oedipus complex thing to me. That's why I don't like it. It just makes me
Oh.
uncomfortable.
Oh
So
my
like
gosh,
geez,
you're so
yeah,
right.
thanks for ruining like everything for me.
I'm sorry, but
I-
that's like how it
I'm
comes off
never
to me.
going to watch that show and not think of that. Thanks.
I just
Like okay, but the thing is if they had just kept Katara as like this like maternal figure to Aang, but they removed the romance, totally fine, would have been great. But
honestly, I would have been fine if he had a unrequited crush on her and like learned to get over it as the story went on. That would have been fine, honestly.
yeah, that would have been
The
fine.
fact
But
that she
like
returns his affection is the weird part to me.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief.
Like I just
Okay,
don't like
seriously,
that.
who is swallowing the microphone right now?
It's Philip.
oh, is it
Don't
me?
swallow your microphone.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize it
Don't
was.
swallow your
You know, this is why we
microphone.
should do
There's
an audio
another thing
test
I could
before
be
we start
saying.
recording.
Yeah, we really should, but there's a more gamery way to say stop swallowing the microphone, but it would not be appropriate for this podcast.
This is a
So
Christian
let's
podcast.
freaking not before I kill you in Minecraft.
Hey, I just said I wasn't going to say it.
You didn't even.
Someone might say it in the comments.
Oh, I hate you so freaking much. Wait, where were we before we got on the Avatar? Oh,
You
it
were
was
talking
Raylo. You were
about,
talking about
your
Raylo.
name. No,
Oh
your-
yeah, we were talking
Your-
about your name, but
Your name
That's
is
where the
really
rabbit hole.
good. It's really good. Everyone who says it's overrated is absolutely incorrect. You can fight me on that.
yeah, me
Period.
too. 2v2 us in the
Your
parking lot. In the
opinions are
Thornforge
valid,
parking
people.
lot.
It is animation. Don't listen to the crazy female at the
No,
front.
no. Wrong. There's an objective good and objective bad. This is objectively good. And if you don't like it, you're objectively wrong.
I like how you just. I love that you just declared what was objectively good.
Yes, because I know.
Can I get a promotion to a public relation disaster recovery team?
Well,
Because I feel
we're
like that's
gonna
all I've been doing.
we're gonna need one at some point. So
Continue letting Dingle talk. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, do not put me at the head of the PR department. That would be a horrible
You're not.
idea.
Like,
No,
don't worry,
no.
I've already made that decision.
don't put me at the head of the PR. It's like I have a
That's
problem. Well, die mad. Like, I can't help you.
That's why I'm the head of the PR department. Okay, your name's
Anyways.
okay.
So your
name's really
name
good.
Cowboy
Weathering with
Joe.
You is also really good. Yeah.
Okay, I can I say something else controversial?
Yeah, go ahead.
People
We
might
already
consider
started
this one a lot more controversial than the Zutara one. I can't speak on whether or not Your Name or Weathering with You is the better movie, but I think I enjoyed Weathering with You a little bit more.
I won't roast you for that because it's fine. I get that.
Maybe it's because like I am a child who can only handle one piece of data at the same time. I'm a single core processor, and Weathering with You was just a little easier to understand. And also,
I think
like,
that's-
I got so attached to the characters. It's like, yo, because like when you go into Makoto Shinkai film, you have to know, like, don't get attached because inevitably something horrible is gonna happen. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to get attached. And about 15 minutes in, I was like, I am so attached.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do agree that Hodaka and I don't remember the other girl's name.
Neither do I.
The Sunshine Hare Anna,
Yeah.
her and him, they were definitely easier to like kind of relate to, I think. But I still like Your Name more just because the same way that you like it because you like Weathering You because it's less complex as a story. I like Your Name because it's more complex as a story. Like you have
Fair.
all these different layers that are contributing to the plot, and I love that crap. But I did enjoy Weathering with You a lot, and I think the fact that it was simple worked for the story, honestly. Like
Yeah. Also, I gotta say,
But-
like that opening scene where like she goes to shrine and like she has that transparent umbrella. When I sat down to watch that movie, I thought I was in for a movie.
Nice.
Yeah, that really snatched me. Like, forget the plot, forget the characters, look at the clear umbrella, please.
Okay, Also, okay, I did like the dynamic of the ship in Weathering with You a little bit better, and you know why I liked it.
Yeah,
but...
shut up. You don't have rights. Go ahead.
Yeah. But
Oh no. I
yeah.
think I
Anyway.
know. Yeah.
I do not, and I don't care to know right now because I'm already trying to figure out how to recover this podcast from the PR nightmare it's going to be.
Wait, we have
But,
to have an audience first before we can have a PR nightmare. It's fine.
Yeah, we can start off with one person, and it's me right now.
Yeah, and me. Don't forget me. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of myself. Yes.
yeah,
I meant freaking out about us.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Also, I feel like your name had a conclusion, and then Weathering with You kind of didn't in a way.
Yeah,
but
I
like
feel
I
that.
liked that. I liked that though. Like I thought that it was nice. That it
He's like, what
wasn't, like-
happens now? I don't know. Figure it out.
Yeah, I kind of like that it didn't have like a quote unquote true ending in a sense. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like I want one Makoto Shinkai movie where the characters like kiss or like whatever, because it's like he does a really good job of building up the relationship to the point where you want to see it so bad, and it doesn't come ever.
And it does not happen.
Yeah.
Hey, hot take.
Leave it to the
sometimes, but
cosplayers.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, you're right.
honestly.
You're right.
sometimes not kissing is peak romance.
Pacific
I mean,
Rim.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen
exactly.
Pacific Rim.
Sometimes
I have not
just
seen
the
the movie.
characters' interaction and the chemistry that they have between each other, that's the peak romance. It doesn't have to be, I don't know, I don't want to say like physically fulfilling because that sounds weird, but like it doesn't have to
Like-
be overly obvious that, hey, they love each other. It can be subtle and
Yeah,
be good.
I'm not even saying it's bad. I'm just saying like it's so believable and you're so invested that you want to see it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's so good that you're like, I want to see this. But-
All right, but okay. But I raise to you the Crude's forehead touch.
Ooh.
Okay, that was pretty
The
good.
what? That do be kind of hitting though.
The what?
You're right.
I
You're
don't-
right.
The Cruise head touch?
Okay. So Crude's, right? The caveman movie DreamWorks made like a couple years
Oh,
ago.
I
Not
didn't
the
watch
new
that.
one, the older one. Okay. So basically, there's like there's a whole family. There's like dad and the mom and the kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And like you can tell that the mom and the dad care for each other, but they never like kiss or do anything like that because that's just not the focus of the movie, right? But at the very end, where things are kind of starting to go down, like the father gives the mom like that gentle kind of forehead touch, and I'm just like,
And it do be hitting though.
It did
Okay,
hit.
my
during-
stops. They do love each other.
My controversial opinion is that the Cruise is a good movie. It's not like revolutionary or like
Of course, Cruise is
groundbreaking or whatever,
good. It's
but
good.
it's good. Like it is.
The only thing I know about the
So-
Crudes is that they have a pink sloth in the new one or something.
Okay,
Seen the
I
new one
don't
yet,
even
and
wanna
I'm
talk about the
disgusted.
second movie because it's gonna make me mad. Like
That's all I know
I
about
don't
the
even wanna
Crudes
see
is
it.
that
I
there's
need
a
to
pink
actually sit
sloth.
down and watch the second movie at some point.
Yeah,
I
me
hear
too.
it's fun at least. Like it's not like if you're looking for like an experience like the first one, it might not be it, but at least it'll be fun. And I'm like, okay, that works.
That's what pisses me off though, because it's like you can't just establish this universe and then make a movie that's supposed to be a continuation of this universe and then like not like actually make it a true continuation and then just do the
Oh,
weird
yes, they
like
can. Disney knows how.
illumination, like
Star
yeah,
Wars
that's why
knows
Disney
how.
sucks at sequels. DreamWorks is not bad at sequels most of the time.
Fair.
Most of the time. I'm gonna say
Very
that
most of
their
the time.
best sequels were in Shrek, not counting the third one, and Kung Fu Panda.
So
How
you
to Your
should still-
Dragon is
Panda
kind of
2.
hit and miss with the sequels.
Oh, die. Are you serious?
Well,
How
well,
to
No,
Your
the
Dragon 2
third
is like the
How to Your
best.
Dragon
Stop,
movie is
stop,
weird.
please,
The
don't kill
second
each other.
one's
Please,
fine.
please, please,
Thematically.
No, I'm gonna fight you right now. I'm gonna kill you
please.
in Minecraft.
No, no,
Okay,
no, no, no.
okay.
Ladies,
Summarize
ladies,
to me
ladies.
no, Phil, shut up. Okay, Bagel, summarize to me what the thematics. No, explain to me the thematics of How to Train Your Dragon 2. Go.
Pretty.
Pretty. Sorry, it's been so long since I've seen it. Like I don't remember.
I feel so scared right now. I feel like
Let
someone's
me give
gonna
you
get shot.
let me give like a short example. So there's a line that Volca and Stoic both use. It's that what was that line? It was like it's not that we fight for our own. We look for our own, or I mean, we look to our own. That's what it was. And I could never put together what that meant. It's like kind of like a pro kind of staying together, kind of isolated mentality, but also like not.
Honestly,
like-
I would have to rewatch the movie
Yeah,
To be honest, it's been a really long time, but like
yeah.
DreamWorks, I think in general is good at sequels. After the sequel, that's a little bit iffy, but their sequels
3,
tend to
I'm
be
adding
pretty
you.
decent. What?
I said I'm adding Kung Fu Panda 3.
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda 3, like it's not bad, but it wasn't like
It's literally
as
the first
good.
movie again with better animation.
That's fair. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. The second one is still amazing.
I haven't
It's
seen
Yeah.
a
so, and I'm
single
like,
Kung Fu Panda
y'all
film.
should have, bruh, watch the first and the second movies. You have to, like, they are so good. You think it's ridiculous because it's called Kung Fu Panda, but you will cry, you will laugh, you will have an experience.
When I get
True.
thrown into quarantine for 4 weeks, I'll watch them.
The second one
The-
especially, like, I want to explain why it's so good, but you haven't seen it, so I don't want to spoil it. But I think the message that the movie like portrays is really freaking good, and I think it's amazing. The weakest part of the movie is basically Shen, but that's only because like there was development hell with his backstory, so it's like it's kind of incomplete, but it still works in the movie. It's just not as perfect as the rest of it. But it's such a good movie. It's such a freaking good movie.
I'll take your
Love
word
it.
for that.
Also, the kung fu choreography literally snatched me out of my chair. It is so good. The timing and so good.
Okay. Calm down.
So good.
Calm down.
No, I
no
will not
calming
calm
down. We are all
Oh boy.
passionate on this podcast.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I think I don't want to like shut you up, but I also want to shut you up. Let's ask someone else
try.
what they watched in 2020 media wise that they really stood out to them.
Oh, it could also be like video games and stuff. It doesn't have to just be TV.
Oh,
I
geez.
came packed with a movie, a TV show, and 2 video games.
All right, sit
I-
next then.
All right, so of course I have to cover this because Tangle watched me experience this series, so I have to bring it up. But the K-drama Rookie Historian kind of snatched me a little bit.
Yes, it's so
Like,
good.
what I will say about it is like for people who haven't seen it is basically like, oh, it's like feudal Korea, which I know nothing about. And I guess in their government they have like these historians whose job it is to like sit in on meetings and stuff and write down everything that happens, I guess for like historical record keeping.
Yep.
And this one really like standoffish chick basically ends up becoming a historian through a series of events, and then she like falls in love with one of the members of royalty, and it's like this whole thing. And like Tangle, I don't know, when did you watch this? Like 2019 or early 2020?
I think it was probably 2019 or 2018. I think.
Okay. Because
And it
like
was
when
the
you
first drama that
originally,
I'd ever watched too.
yeah, and when she was originally watching it, I ignored her. I ignored everything she said. Like I was listening, but I was like, this is not my kind of media. That's just what I thought. Because Tangle was in this whole like, I'm gonna go be a Korea boo for 45 minutes thing, and I was like, okay, I'll be here when you get back. So I just kind of ignored everything she said. But then she was like, oh, you have to watch this, and I was like, okay, fine, I will watch this because you asked me to, and it just snatched everything about my life, and I'm like, it's really good, and like it's really really slow paced at the beginning, but once you get to the part where she's a historian, it's just off to the races, and I just love everything about it except for the ending, but that's not the point. It was great. You should watch it, especially like if you're female, you will enjoy it. I can guarantee you that. But you know,
when Tangle. Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say like watching Sit go from like this is whatever to like actually being actively invested was like a blessing to my life. It was so good.
really
But,
got
yeah.
me.
She was
It
like
really
not
got me.
interested in the first couple episodes. I'm like, listen, like it gets good, like whatever. And now she's like falling for the prince and like invested in the political
Dude.
intrigue. And I'm like, bruh, yes.
That's
Prince is
precisely why I don't watch TV shows, because it's like, oh, I watched this TV show and I watched first episode and I'm like, that's trash. I'm like, no. You got to watch more than one episode for it to get good. And it's like, I can
No,
watch a movie and know if it's good or not in 20 minutes. But if you're telling me I have to watch like 4 or 5 a season's worth to figure out if it's good or not, I'm out. That's why I don't
Yeah,
take
I
TV
wouldn't
shows.
I mean, I
even
feel
say
that.
the first episode isn't bad though. It just sets the tone for the series, and I knew that she wasn't going to like the series, the tone that it was setting until a certain point. But I liked it from episode 1, so I don't like.
Like my thing about it is like, I wouldn't call the first couple of episodes bad. They were just very slowly paced. Like it takes what, like 3 or 4 episodes for her to become a historian, and each episode is like an
it's
hour.
like Yeah, the first couple episodes really do spend time like setting the stage for the main character, like characterizing her and giving us a good idea of her situation. And it also sets up the backstory for like all the political intrigue that's going on as well. Cause like I didn't realize it, but like this show has really good rewatchability because when I was watching it with Sit, I realized all the clues that they'd been dropping for certain events that I just did not catch the first time. So like it's really honestly like it's just a really good show. But I like the first episode because it does a really good job of establishing the main character and what she's like and what her situation is. And it's also just really funny. Like I just thought it was funny. I just knew that it would take Sit a while to warm up to it, but I liked it from the first episode. Like it didn't take me time to like get into it. I
Also,
just really liked it.
it not being animated means that you are coming in at a disadvantage. Like you have to make a disadvantage roll if you show me anything that's not animated, but it worked.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think it's really good. I just
Oh,
love
Like
it.
yeah.
like if she suggests me an anime, as long as it's like not a sports anime, which more on that later, but I'm willing
I've
to
shown you 2
try.
sports animes though.
I said I'm gonna come back to it, but like I'm willing
Okay.
to try it. But I had this really huge bias against sports anime because reasons, and eventually Tangle was like, "Oh,"
Okay.
with Haikyuu, she was like, "Oh, just try it," and I'm like, "Oh, fine." And I hated it, and then I loved it. So then she did it a second time.
This is good.
No,
Like Haikyuu is really freaking good.
it's interesting that you bring up Haiku because Rookie Historian and Haiku are both shows that I try to get into for Tingle's sake because she was going off about both shows. And I watched the first
Yeet.
episode of Rookie Historian and quickly realized that I don't know if it's K-dramas that just aren't my thing or if it was just the general premise, but either way, I was like, okay, this is kind of funny or whatever, but I kind of just ended up putting it aside. And then
Yeah,
kind
I
of the
think
same thing with Haiku. Um, maybe it's just because like the premise of sports stuff doesn't super intrigue me. Like I'll see like little like video clips or something, and I'm like, hee hee, dumb boy energy, and all like that. But it's not enough for me to want to sit down and watch these intense sports matches, um, for like for however long the season is. And actually, Philip brought up a good point earlier where he wants to be able to I sit down and watch something and enjoy it right on off the get go. And that's kind of where I'm at with WandaVision because like the Marvel show or whatever started airing about a week ago from this recording, and I'm honestly kind of going 50-50 on whether I'll continue watching WandaVision because based on the premise of the show, I'm not going to spoil anything at this moment in time, but I can already tell that because of how the show is meant to be constructed, it's going to start off slow. And I'm pretty sure anyone who's seen a WandaVision trailer knows this bit, but there's like the part of it that's kind of based off like a standard TV plot, and there's the part which kind of digs into what's actually going on in the story. And I'll be honest, the TV plot is boring as all heck to me. I cannot get into it. Part of it is kind of cringy, like not in a like oh they're running it bad kind of way, but because they're using tropes that I really don't like as far as taste goes. Meanwhile, when a friend was showing me Daredevil, I was hooked episode 1. I went through that. I'm not picking it for this because I think I watched Daredevil in 2019 and then part of 2020, but it's also not my favorite thing. But Daredevil hooked me and got me there like immediately. So I can understand like that whole like not wanting to dig through a whole season just to get to the good bit. Movies definitely take a lot shorter to digest, and the downside is that if you really like it, it's only like an hour as opposed to like 5 seasons long. But um, you definitely know a lot earlier on if it's good or not.
That's fair.
I
Yeah.
just don't
I
have
just
the
really like
time
the
to.
development and the build up of things. Like I
I just
don't
don't have the
necessarily.
time to invest in TV shows because with my whole situation currently, and before this with just everything going on, I never knew when I was like, oh, can't watch this for like forever. So it's like it just adds so much frustration to me. Whereas movies, that's easy. That's watch it, enjoy it, walk away from it, maybe go rewatch it, like something like that. But with, like TV shows, it takes so much more investment that I'd never been able to have like time wise. That is just one day I will, when I'm rich and fat off animation, I will be able to sit down and actually watch a TV series all the way through. But it's not
Well,
today.
didn't you watch Daredevil all the way through?
I didn't.
You also watched Kisniver too.
So I did watch Kisniver all the way through, but the only way I was able to do that was I had to sit down and treat it like a movie, and I'd have to watch like 4 episodes at a time and then walk away. Or something like that. I had to go, okay, if we're gonna watch this, I'm not gonna spend like 30 minutes or whatever watching a TV show, and then next week do another 30. Like I gotta binge it. And with Daredevil, for me to watch a TV show, I'm not gonna lie, TV shows are a communal thing with me, whereas movies tend to be more solo thing. Like I'm totally okay watching a movie by myself or with other people, but for a TV show with the characters and the investments, I have to watch it with other people so we can talk about it. Otherwise, I don't enjoy it as well because if I get to see the development and the growth and everything. So with Daredevil, I watched it with my brothers and we're actually able to talk and like enjoy it together. But if I watched Daredevil by myself, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much.
Okay, that tracks.
I kind of do that with rewatching. I hate rewatching things for the most part, but I will rewatch things with other people. So when I rewatch things, it's often with like Citrin or another friend that I want to show it to. Because
Yeah,
the first time I
about to
watched
say.
anything, like the first time I watch anything, I want to watch it by myself because I want to like experience it and digest whatever it is by myself first. And then once I determine that I liked it and process all my feelings and junk, then I'm like, okay, this is good. I want to show somebody else now. And then like that's when I rewatch it. But I hate rewatching things. I hate it so much.
I was literally about to say we rewatch Toradora every year on Christmas
With
Eve.
the exception being Toradora because it is literally that good. Like it's an experience. Like you can tell that I really like something if I will brave the experience of rewatching it. So far, the only things I've rewatched like that have been Your Name, which I've seen over 4 times, and Toradora. That's about it as far as things that I've rewatched. It is the greatest anime love story of all time.
Okay, I was about to say, can I say something controversial? Toradora is the best love story ever told.
It is freaking good. I love it so much. Gosh. Also, Taiga's like the best tsundere like ever.
She is the best written. Like the problem is, and I promise I'll bring this back to what we were talking about before, but like Taiga is such a well-written tsundere. She is like the magnum opus of the trope. And now I compare every tsundere to her when determining whether or not they are good or likable.
Yeah. I hate most tsunderes now at this point.
Yeah, she did that. She spoiled tsunderes for me.
Yeah, like they can be really well written and like it makes sense as a trope, but like most of the time people just kind of use it because it's a trope and not because they want to say something with why the character acts that way. And it's really frustrating.
They try to be like, oh, this kid's character's being a brat because da-da-da-da, and I'm just going, this character's being a brat. Smack her upside the head.
This character's being a brat because she's annoying.
Not gonna lie.
I don't necessarily mind like.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like as long as the character has a reason behind it that is believable to me, then I don't mind it. Like I guess spoilers for Toradora, but I'm assuming neither of you will ever even watch it.
Also, like if you're watching Toradora's old.
No, I've watched it.
Okay. The reason why Taiga is a good tsundere is because she acts that way because of how she's been treated in the past by her family, how she's been treated in the past by other people, how she feels like the world is against her. It makes sense that she would have this duality between like actually desiring like some sort of connection with someone, but being too angry or too afraid to express that in a healthy way. That makes sense to me. Also, she's an 8. Fight me. I don't even care. But most of the shut up. I don't even care. Shut up. But for the most part, other tsunderes, they're just like, haha, I'm angry. Haha, I'm like they're like they have some sort of mental illness instead of like a reason. And it's like weird, you know?
You know what's like even the weirder part is that you'll have people who are into that and they're like, and I'm like, you're into an abusive relationship with a chick. That's what you're into.
Some guys just want to get beat up.
I was saying is that what I was gonna say is that trope I've seen used to like, oh, this girl is like physically and verbally abusive. Oh, she actually loves me. It's like, no, she's just abusive, fam. That's not romantic in the slightest.
Untreated mental illnesses. Just saying.
Right? Also, can we talk about yanderes for a second? What is the appeal?
No.
What is the appeal? I'm so serious.
I don't know.
We're moving on. We're moving on.
Side of anime fans you don't want to talk to. I'm sorry.
We're moving on.
I get why people like yanderes, but I'm shaming you. Sorry.
We're moving on.
No, I don't get it.
We're moving on.
All right, fine.
Okay.
Okay. Jan, you pick a media. Go ahead. Go talk about your media.
Oh, but okay, hi. Okay, so I did not know we were going to be allowed to pick video games, and I did not have. Wait, what?
Did Sid finish?
She talked
I
about
mean,
one
said
thing.
she had.
Yeah, I talked about one thing. We can like go round robin. Like I don't have to sit here and talk about stuff I like for 2 hours.
Okay, I'm just making sure that you are heard, TM.
Yeah, thanks.
Trust me, everyone has heard her on this podcast.
Shut the frick up.
Shut up.
It's my job to upset everyone before I leave. So
Go ahead,
Okay,
Jan.
Jan, go Jan.
Okay, I was gonna mention. I did not have a chance to prep a video game choice. So I'll get back to that in a little bit. As far as TV show choices go, gosh, I don't remember much from like earlier this year, just because earlier this year was like just a brain fog of like life being terrible. But I guess the two shows I would probably pick would be, I don't know if it's things that you guys have watched. I might be the low ender of the room here with this one, but there would be Dorohedoro, which is the crazy lizard man CG anime / 2D anime. And then Primal, which is I think you guys are more familiar with Primal. That's the one that's done by the Samurai Jack guy. That's probably, I would say Dorohedoro barely beats Primal, just because Dorohedoro is I have like the whole soundtrack like on standby in a playlist because it's that good, along with like the OP and like the EPs and all that kind of junk. And as per yonder taste, both of these are incredibly violent shows.
Of course.
But that being said, I think Primal will probably be the better one to start off the discussion with, because Primal is very deliberate in all of its storytelling. I've only seen half of the episodes. I'm actually going to be watching the second season with a friend in May, because we have that thing planned when I drive up to her place. But what I really enjoy about Primal is that, oh man, well, for one thing, the art style. The art style has a very brush ink kind of look to it. The animation and design sets and color choices, everything is just gorgeous. It's basically a comic book brought to life. That's the best way I could describe it. And the entire story is told without any dialogue whatsoever. There's, I mean, because of that, because of those limitations, the story itself is a little more simple, which is why they went for like what's the word? They went with a caveman who can't even talk to them with. That's not to be said that you can't use more complex storytelling without words, and there's a few sequences in Samurai Jack that are actually a good example of nonverbal storytelling. But Primal does a pretty good job, not only in its story direction, its art direction. It has its moments of brutality, but most of them you can really justify what's going on, like what's happening. I'm assuming if you guys haven't watched, you're probably not going to, just because the show is a gore fest. But there's one probably
I was planning on watching it actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
I just didn't have access to it at the time.
Okay, I will actually refrain from spoiling it because there are some really darn good story moments in it. The one, if you when you're going through it, the one with the mammoth is probably my favorite story-wise. And then there's one with like a zombie thing that I won't explain why, because you really have to watch it by yourself. That one lives rent-free in my brain. I love that episode so much. It's called Plague of Madness. That one's amazing. Now I'm gonna shift gears into Dorohedoro, just because I don't want to spend too much time on Primal, because I don't want to spoil Tangle. But Primal, amazing. The way how Tarkovsky, I think is his name, just does his what?
I think it's like I think it's Gennady Tartarovsky. I don't
Russia.
know. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing. Yeah, Russia.
The Russian guy. The way how he does his storytelling, I feel like, is at its best when it's that nonverbal. He did like what Samurai Jack and Primal, and I really, it might come down partially to taste, because he does have some good stuff on like Samurai Jack, not Samurai Jack, on Dexter. I could have sworn he did another show or something, but I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure he was involved in a lot of shows from that era, the Dexter Laboratory time period.
It's so weird because he actually directed the Castlevania, no, not Castlevania, Hotel Transylvania. He was the director for those shows. That always surprises me. Like he has these two modes: really dramatic storytelling and goofy.
And Adam Sandler playing a vampire.
Yeah,
those are the two modes.
The two modes. which is so
Yeah.
weird to me. Anyway, like, I mean, you know me, like, taste-wise, I'm gonna be more into the heavier, more serious storytelling. And I really do hope that he continues to pursue uh, nonverbal storytelling media like he did with Primal, like he did with Samurai Jack, just because the guy knows how to do it. And then just a quick shout out because he actually did a few of the Clone War episodes, the 2D ones.
The 2D? Oh.
Yeah, he did that. That's Tavosky.
I thought you were talking about the 3D. That's my goat right there.
Yeah,
love
both
the
of them are
3D
pretty decent. I know some people really don't like the 2D one for some reason. I'll have to dig into both of them
Yeah.
sometime, and then I'll have the Clone Wars and Rebels tea and all that junk. But
Yeah.
I have my own anime that I'm going to have on this list, and that would be Dorohedoro. And oh my gosh, okay, so
Okay, don't spoil it because I plan to watch that.
okay, I will not spoil it because Dorohedoro is a delight, and you definitely want to go in blind because you will not be able to guess what happens. I guarantee you. This is a absolute off the wall crackhead anime where like people die, but it's like inconsequential because you can literally just bring people back to life or whatever. And it's okay. Hold on, I need to make sure I don't spoil stuff. Darn it. Okay, but like, well, for one thing, it does 3D animation, but it does it so well. And then the sequences that have a little more animation to them are actually done in 2D. But the transition isn't like jarring at all. They do a really good job using both their 2D and 3D assets, and it just works super well. And then, the setting is a little more gritty, but it's like a dark comedy almost. Characters are very like to the point. Violence is basically everywhere. Like you have blood and guts, and there's a guy in a heart mask whom I simp. But not like a heart mask, but like a legit. It looks like he has the organ heart on his head. He's great. And then everyone in the show is a tank. Like you have like the giant freaking. Well, you have two giant freaking ladies that I'm sure Phil would love. And then
Yes.
you have like the guy with the lizard head who happens to have some pretty good cake. I'll say that.
My
What?
gosh.
You just
Don't
not
say that on my
on the
freaking podcast. I'm gonna
Oh
freaking
my!
kill you.
I'm gonna call the priest and I'm gonna get some digital holy water and we're gonna put it on this podcast before it comes out. I trust.
Gosh freaking darn it.
By the time you've
My
heard this,
friends are gonna.
this has been
My
blessed.
IRL friends are going to watch this.
Good.
Please.
Good.
No.
Okay,
Jan,
show
moving
good.
forward,
Okay,
you're on
okay.
podcast probation.
Okay. To redeem myself, I will say the show has like next to no fan service, minus like 2 dumb scenes or whatever. Like
That
there's
doesn't
almost
redeem you. That redeems the show.
Christ redeems me.
Oh, got him.
Anyway, okay.
If you know me in real life and you're watching this, I'm so sorry.
If you know me in real life and you're watching this, I'm sorry that you had to see this side of me.
I'm not sorry.
Okay.
This is
I'm not
me.
sorry either.
Senpai knows the full extent of my crackheadery, but I feel like a lot of other people don't, and I'm just gonna feel bad. But it's fine.
Nope.
It's fine.
But yeah, good animation.
Okay.
The OP. So the OP is the same thing every time. The OP is the animation and the music are both great, but there's only one season out right now, and Lord willing, there's going to be another season at some point, and there are, I think it's either 4 or 5 EPs throughout the entire show. So like every 2 or 3 episodes are switching to a new EP, and they have like their own music, their own animation. And I kid you not, one of them is just straight up a Doom reference.
Ooh.
No, it's just one of the
rip and
characters.
tear.
Yeah, like one of the characters. Well, I mean, not like the newer Doom, but like older Doom. It's like the character going around and like
Like
shooting
in the
people
like
with whatever.
2D space is made to look 3D.
Yeah. And it's just amazing the amount of artistic stuff that goes into it. But the other part that I also really like about the show is that you have like the good guys and the bad guys or whatever. But the quote unquote villain group or whatever is actually super likable. It's like villain found family, but I think this is going to be that this show is now my standard for villain found family. Like this is going to be the show that I'm going to compare any other villain found family to from now on. Like it's that good. When your villains are likable, or just as likable, or even more likable than the protagonists, I say, hello, this is interesting.
Villain simp.
We been new. I actually,
Yeah, we even
you
knew.
know, one of the characters I simp for is on the villain side, but I also simp one of the characters on the good side, so don't look at me.
The first exposure I had to that show was a friend of mine in college showed me a compilation of the I don't know the names of these characters, but it was the buff girl and then like her companion that she goes around with, and they're both like dumb as a sack of bricks, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But and I was like, this I don't know what's going on here, but I'm vibing. So
Even you must have seen the comic scans or something because the show itself is pretty new, but the manga's been around for a long time. I think it might be done. I think it's
it
been
was
around since the
it was
90s.
probably like junior or senior year of college, which was not that long ago.
Was that like
There's
a
like
year?
this whole
Couple years?
compilation of like no, it's like a year or two.
That's what I
There's like this
said.
compilation of like the buff lady and like her companion doing stuff. And it was like, and I remember because the style was like 3D, and I was like, is that 2D or 3D? I can't tell. And it was like 3D. But
That's
that
so
was my
weird. It
first
must have
exposure
it
to
must
the
have
show.
yeah, it must have just gotten localized then or something.
Yeah. I
Dang,
mean,
that means
it
we
was
might not have a second season then. That makes me sad.
I think it was in it was in Japanese, so yeah, I probably didn't get like a dub yet at that point.
What you
But it was
say?
definitely very crackheaded, and I was like, I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Yeah, it's its own energy. I'm like, when I say crackheaded, I am being I mean that like in the most literal sense of the word. It's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. I love it.
Ye-
Wild. Okay. So I just want to recap. We had Tangle that talked about some sort of weeb crap. We had Sit that talked about some sort of weeb
Wow.
crap, and then
About
Yawn
Koreaboo
talked about some
crap.
sort of weeb
Excuse
crap.
you.
Oh my god, who cares?
I
It's not
can't.
the same.
Yeah, you racist. They're not the same.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but as a straight
Cancel.
white male on this podcast, I have to be at some point.
Yeah, say something offensive.
No.
Actually
please.
don't.
I'm
Yeah,
not
you know what?
going
Actually
to.
don't.
I
Not.
wasn't going to. I think Jan already covered the offensiveness of the podcast, so
Yeah.
we're gonna move on. Oh crap! What did I just do? Oh, sorry.
I don't know.
I knocked my
Did
drink
you
over.
want to talk
It was
about
fine.
yours?
Oh, sure. So I'd pulled up a couple options. I was thinking about like films that I'd seen this year, and I was like, I was only going to talk about one because all of them gave me thoughts. The first one was Kung Fu Hustle, but I was like, out of everything I've seen this year, it wasn't that like crazy that made me want to talk about it. I was thinking about Wolfwalkers, which plenty of people have talked
Wolfwalkers.
about so far, but we've talked about a lot of animated stuff. So I figured let's talk about something different. And
This
so
is
then I
an
was like,
animation studio.
I was about
this
to
is an
say.
animation studio, but we're just talking about media in general, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you
I
can talk
kind of,
about
Yeah.
animated
I
stuff.
kind of wanted, I wanted to branch out a little, especially like story wise and things like that. So I came down to The Outpost, which was a Netflix film that was based on real life events in Afghanistan. And that was a really fantastic movie. And I thought it was a very respectful film. But the movie I have to say that I saw this last year that really had an impact on me was a Jackie Chan film called The Foreigner from 2017.
Yo, that movie is so good.
Now, the crazy thing that
Dude.
really stood out to me is that most
Uh-huh.
like 99% of Jackie Chan films have him being goofy karate man, like a strong comedy. But The Foreigner is like amazing because he plays this war veteran and it's like a super gritty, serious like role for him. And he doesn't have any makeup and they don't hold back on the fact that he looks his age. Like when he's playing an old guy, he looks like an old guy, he acts like an old guy. And the story behind it and about the entire idea is that he's just this guy that has just lost everything important to him and how far he's come to get to that spot in his life and then just have it taken from him and how he goes on this path of calculated revenge to strike back at the people that took it from him is just astounding. And they have some really good actors in this film. Like Pierce Bronson plays across from him as a politician that you see a lot, and Pierce Bronson is probably one of my favorite actors in amongst the older ones. James Bond, but here he's actually playing an Irish politician. So to see him kind of like battling of the wits against Jackie Chan's character, and then Jackie Chan's out there just like slaughtering terrorists and stuff like that. But it's all like it makes sense. All the fight scenes are super realistic. Jackie Chan, when he gets hit, it's like an old guy getting hit. He's not just taking a hit then bouncing back. Like, he's obviously in pain. He's like falling down and they're going to wail on him. But it's his thinking and his training that he's able to turn it onto them and actually come out on top at different points is really good. And I don't know, the entire movie is a real delight. It keeps going. It's pretty impactful. People have said that like the plot of the film's out of touch for modern days, but I don't know. I think what the story it told was just like still really meaningful and pretty awesome, regardless of the time that it is in. And I would say that is a movie that honestly like stood out to me the most this last year.
Yeah, it's super good. I saw that when it came out in theaters with my dad. That was so good. I love that.
Right?
Wow.
Jackie Chan playing a serious role was like stellar. I wish he'd do more of those because he really nailed it. He has this like raw emotional intensity that I didn't think was possible for him because I've always seen him in like super goofy films and he's always laughing and stuff. But this time it like almost scares you like how intense he can be as like a real actor, not just like Hiku Karate Man.
Hiku.
It's like seriously, it's like he actually got to like shine with his acting skills and his martial arts training. So it's like nice to see both of that.
Nice. That sounds like an interesting movie.
It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I think it's on Netflix. I definitely suggest y'all look it up. It's by Martin Campbell, who did he did some James Bond films and stuff like that. So he's done a lot of different things. He did.
I actually have never seen any James Bond films. I know all the tropes though, because like obviously a lot of other media like will make fun of them. So like I know all the tropes of the movies. I just have never actually like seen the movies.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But no, it's good stuff. It's really good. I killed the conversation. Wow, I didn't realize.
No, you didn't.
Sometimes it's very thoughtful and thoughtful, provoking kind of stuff.
It's just hard because like I haven't seen like I don't watch a lot of live action stuff, to be honest. So I don't normally have stuff to say about it because I don't normally watch it. With like some exceptions, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I try to watch a mix of everything just to kind of see where because I mean, for me as a writer, I like to see where the good writing is, and you see that a lot in animation. Like there's some really great animation out there that has really great writing, but then there's also some animation out there that just like has horrible writing, and same thing for live action films. So I'm always picking my way through, and like word of mouth typically is like big for me. So if someone says, "Oh, hey, this is good," and I hear it from multiple people, I'll go, "Okay, I'll do that." But on Netflix, I use a separate account. Is I just go and look at a film and I'll read the synopsis, and if the synopsis looks interesting, I'll watch the movie, even if I've never heard it before, and see if it will surprise me or not. And The Foreigner was one of those films. I read the synopsis and I'm like, okay, so this old dude, loses everything to a terrorist attack, and now he's gonna go beat up everyone. I'm like, this is probably gonna be super cheesy because it's Jackie Chan, and I was utterly floored by how good it was and how emotional it was. And it was just so good. And I really wish there was a lot more animation, in that area, just like across the board, whether it's like Eastern or Western animations, because it's very hard to find animations that are like that, where it's an intense, mature thing that's not, sex jokes.
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing about Western animation in particular. Like, you can find animation from other countries that does that, but it's very rare for Western animation to do that.
Yeah, like in the West, it's
frustrating.
either Paw Patrol, which like I'm not insulting Paw Patrol, but it is obviously written for a very like young audience. I actually like Paw Patrol, but like it's either Paw Patrol or it's Rick and Morty, which is horrible. Don't at me, it's horrible. So,
Yeah,
there's no like
Rick and Morty fans. I'm sorry.
No, actually, I don't like you.
I've heard some French animation is actually very mature and very respectfully done, but it doesn't get a lot of traction. In
The French did
North
go
America.
off.
Yeah, they snapped. Ernest and Celestine.
Y'all see,
I got a friend.
I'll have to type it up, but there's a French film that. Okay, so I have to admit it. I had to pirate it because the only way to watch it was actually no. You could get the Blu-ray, but it would not play on our Blu-ray because it's
region locked.
Yeah, it's region locked. It was so weird. So I'm like, all right, fine. You forced my hand, so I pirated it. but it's called Moon or Moon. It's like M.
Oh heck yeah, it's on Netflix now, right?
Oh, it's
dude,
on
Mune
Netflix
was on Netflix. Yeah, Mune's been on
I
Netflix
didn't know
for a hot
that.
minute, bruh.
It's so good.
Oh yeah,
I
I
watched it
watched
in
that
college.
I watched it like 4 or 5 years ago. That one is really good. Like it has
The
like it has
animation.
like its its kind of more childish moments. It's it's derived for that younger audience somewhat, but it's still really good with its character design, its world design, and just the premise of everything is pretty fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I really liked how creative Mune was, and the most frustrating thing about the movie to me was that it was for kids, because I'm like, there's so much that you could really get out of this concept that they just can't do because it's for kids, so they have to stick with the like standard anime movie, like animated movie plot, and I'm like, please don't do it, but they did. But the animation did
No.
go off, like it's so freaking good, and they have 2D animated segments in the
Yeah.
movie that look really, really good. Like the French did snap.
Yeah, they snapped.
I got a friend
I mean,
that's
they have like the
actually
best
at
animation
university.
school over there.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
what my friend is at right now.
Goblins or
He's in,
whatever.
Yeah.
he's there right now, getting he's got like, I don't know, it's like a 6 or 8 year degree there in animation. But this guy, he was doing animation already, and he got called out by the president of Nintendo Japan because they did some animation contests where he had to like animate Mario doing something, and he did a full like 4-minute animation by himself and was able to
Bruh.
present it.
King
And
stuff.
the president like was like, dude, this is amazing, I love your work. And then he got accepted into this French university, and I've heard something since kind of blowing out, but apparently like they're like, it's like boot camp for animators. Is like
Yeah.
they're
Sounds about
there to
right.
make you you
Yep.
the best, and it's not there to cut your teeth on, it's there to grow fangs on. And I don't know, that dude's gonna go places. Like, I'm not gonna be surprised if one day there's gonna be some huge animated film that's a massive hit that he did by hand his entire way. Honestly, and excited to see where he is. But he's over there right now, and it's just crazy what the French are doing in animation. That
Yeah.
it for some reason seems to be very closeted in France, particularly, or just like even in Europe, that we're not seeing in North America studios, and we're not seeing in Eastern studios as much. But what they're doing in France with animation is just like off the rocks. It's amazing. Just seeing some of the stuff that he posts on his Facebook and stuff time to time, like it's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like
How
Japan and
long?
France really just like go off all the time, and I'm like, how? Please
Yeah.
teach us.
I was gonna say, you said that your friend was gonna be in that program from 6 to 8 years?
It was something crazy. Like he's gonna be over there for quite a while. Like he was doing some, I guess, his 4-year degree, and then he was doing interning to get like a master's, or I don't know how they do it there, but it was gonna be for a while that he was gonna be over there and get his animation like stuff. But apparently, if you do it that long and you survive through the school that way, you're gonna get accepted by any animation company in the world. Period. Like, this isn't some CalArts degree that everybody and their brother on Tumblr is getting. This is like,
Well, wait.
Well,
I'm
okay.
gonna
Yeah.
stop you right there.
Yeah, CalArts is hard to get into.
CalArts is not an easy university to
no,
get
I'm
into.
not. I
It
don't
is
mean.
not.
It's like
It is
it's
not
like
easy.
that's what I'm saying. Like comparatively, they look down on CalArts as being like nothing to them over there. From everything I've heard, it's like
Okay,
that's how
Oh,
they
that's
view it.
fair. Yeah.
That's how I totally misphrased that, and I apologize. It's like they view CalArts as like nothing. Like,
That's
That's
honestly
but I
fair.
mean,
really
that is
funny.
French though. The French are pretty pretentious. It might not be, but that's definitely how they
Okay,
view it.
okay,
Yeah,
but
okay, the French
the thing
are
is,
really
I have
pretentious.
heard that CalArts is pretentious as well because they're like, oh, we're CalArts. It's actually really funny. My university does not like CalArts.
Yeah.
We don't like CalArts. I thought that's really funny.
Why
No
does it like
disrespect to
her?
no disrespect to anyone watching this that is in CalArts, because I understand it's a really hard school to get into. There's no way I'd be
Yeah.
able to get into it, even with the stuff that I have now, honestly. So like, props to
Same.
you guys. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm sorry. You guys have a certain reputation.
I was about to say, why does it seem like nobody likes CalArts except for people who go there?
Maybe it's just like school pride, like
It's
any
something akin to
university.
that. Basically, a lot of the directors who do like a lot of the shows that are going on around now in Western animation have all come from CalArts. So they kind of
Oh, okay.
perceive themselves as people who are, or at least some people perceive themselves as like, CalArts is where all of the entertainment industry people are getting popped out of. that kind of thing. And it kind of rubs other California universities like mine kind of the wrong way. We're like, we can make good students too. And we do. I'm not gonna like my school and other schools do some pretty decent work as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole thing kind of wraps around like, oh, Cal Arts is where all of the new directors come from. It's like we need a
Yeah.
director from another college to like knock them off their
Honestly.
pedestal.
I
Yes.
mean, I don't know. I kind of foresee Disney in the next like 10, 20 years kind of having a blowback because they're getting criticized left and right for everything they're doing, and it doesn't matter how much property they buys up. There is definitely a
Who?
Disney,
Disney.
like
Oh,
Okay.
Disney. Okay.
with all their animated
Like,
films. So I feel like I feel like there's starting to be this cultural turn that people are going, I want to see something different. I want to see something different, and Disney's not really offering that. So there's a lot
okay.
more push
Hey,
for
you
Like,
have too many Disney stands for that to be a thing, honestly. The
okay,
majority.
no, wait.
I'm talking about
Wait.
there's average.
Like, okay, how do I phrase this? I think a lot of people are getting fed up with Disney because Disney, like, if you know about the history of the company, it was founded like by Walt taking a lot of really huge risks and being like a pioneer of animation in a lot of ways. And like
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, the Western animation industry does owe its start to Disney and the work that like the Nine Old Men did and yada 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 and all these innovations in animation. But like nowadays, Disney is not willing to take any sort of risk at all, and they have some of the best talent and best resources in their industry, and they refuse to do anything like remarkable with it. Like all the movies that they've turned
Facts.
out are okay. Like they're okay, but they're not like
See, that's the thing. People are
great.
tolerating okay because it's for Disney, and they need it, and they want to show their kids something. So honestly, the only way you're gonna get Disney to go down is if people just decide to stop having kids or something. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I
think
think
there's
also
a
like the
stronger.
fact that they keep winning Oscar things and people are just not the real issue honestly is just that Americans don't value animation as a medium. That's the real issue here. Disney
Right.
obviously is the product of that
Yeah,
these
and
days, but the
they
problem is that
tolerate
people just don't
mediocrity
care.
in the animation storytelling. The
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
time you hear people complaining about Disney for the most part is people who are actually have a passion for the craft who are in the animation industry. So like
Yeah.
I really don't see anything happening to tip things in the opposite direction unless there's like a huge cultural shift for Disney or if there's like a giant scandal or something. That's my 2
I
cents,
mean,
honestly.
that's probably gonna happen on like I would bet on the scandal before anything else,
Same.
to be
I mean,
honest.
honestly,
I mean,
they've survived a good amount of scandals though.
You do have
That's true.
animation companies. I can't name it, but that produce Wolfwalkers that like
Oh,
mass.
that's frick. I know the name of the studio. What the frick?
Cartoon Saloon, that's a European studio.
Yeah, Cartoon Saloon. Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, people absolutely adore that movie. Everyone that talks
I
about
haven't
it,
seen it, and I'm so mad because I don't have
like
Apple
it's
TV, and I'm not getting it.
fantastic,
So
and a lot of people absolutely love it. So I think as these small
That studio's
studios,
struggling though.
yeah,
Cartoon
I mean,
Saloon is
James
still struggling.
they
James
are
Baxter
going
did
to.
some animation for that movie too, which is how you know it's so.
I mean, but they
Yeah.
also take risks. They take big risks, not with just their story, but with like the style of animation
Yeah,
that they're
the
going
fact that
for.
their animations are 2D is a risk, honestly.
And then
So
they went like
TBH.
super stylized with it. They had some really good shots in there.
They had some
yeah.
I was probably one of the best animated films I've seen in 2D animated film that I've probably seen in 5 years, honestly. Because
It
it
is like
just
they are really good.
it is really, I think the last 2D animated film that really blew off my feet was actually another one of theirs, Song of the Sea.
Have not seen that
Okay.
one yet.
Wait,
That
I think I actually
also
did see that
slaps.
one.
I
I
think
think I
that's
saw that one.
Saloon because it's also kind of the same style, but like
Yeah, it is. It's the
They're-
same studio.
yeah, those are fantastic movies, animation movies, and I'm not a big animation guy in general, but those are fantastic.
Bruh.
Bruh.
He says being a high-ranking member of this
I'm
animation
the writer.
studio.
I'm the writer. I'm just, and also
Yeah, but
PR
you
relations.
should know the industry that you're getting into, though.
Yeah, that's why I've been trying to watch more.
That's fair.
Also, you've
Yeah,
been
that
like,
is valid. We watched
you guys
you
are
because you
showing
watched
me all
Big
this stuff.
Hero 6 a few days ago, didn't you?
Watch what?
Big Hero 6.
Yeah, no, that was a good movie.
I have
I
That itself would
Yeah.
make sense. I will say that the way how they approached the revenge parallels and they approach there's two like slices of what this movie is. One, it's processing loss. It's processing. Well, actually, no. The whole thing is both processing loss and where we put the blame on and or choosing to recover that kind of. I think that the thematics they decided to work within the movie, I think they did a pretty decent job. The only thing that made me kind of sad is that like the aunt or whatever is basically irrelevant. I kind of forgot the aunt existed. I'm like, she's kind of here
Yeah.
part of the time, which I find kind of funny because like to me that just kind of felt like that might have been intentional, make it feel more like Japanese media because the parents are almost like never involved in that. So I'm like, I feel it's almost like I'm sad that Cass isn't really the aunt isn't that involved. But also at the same time, I'm like, it's kind of fitting that she isn't involved because this feels very reminiscent of an anime starring
I think
kids.
like
And
I
thought the
agree
aunt
that
was
the
gonna be so.
themes.
Go ahead.
Bruh.
Go ahead.
I agree that like the themes that they were trying to go for are really nice. Like I think it's really good to have a movie where kids get to see loss and like dealing with mental health and stuff like that. I just wish that they'd kind of like done it a little better, but I like that they were doing it in the first place. I think it was really good.
So the best movie that
I have
handled
something
that
to
was
contribute.
Inside Out.
I have things to say about
Yeah.
Inside Out, but in terms of Big
Me
Hero
too.
6, since like we were just talking about it and no one has mentioned it yet, I actually really love the soundtrack for it because it's done by
yeah.
Henry Jackman, who's the same guy who also did Wreck-It Ralph, and I really
Oh,
love the
really?
soundtrack. I think it's
Oh, okay.
fantastic. Yeah, those are the only two like movie soundtracks I've ever bought because I'm like they're just really good.
I love Wreck-It Ralph soundtrack.
Wreck-It Ralph is
Does it
good.
not slap? Like the OST
Wreck-It
is
Ralph is
freaking
good.
flawless. I will
Wreck-It
die.
Ralph is the
I will
one-
die on that hill for Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph is the one like semi-recent Disney movie that I don't really have anything negative to say about it, to be honest.
Yeah, cause it's freaking good. Like that movie, I saw the trailer for that movie, and my mom was like, "Oh, don't you want to see that? Because like it's haha video games, and that's your whole personality." And I'm like, "Mom, they're just gonna spend the whole time doing crappy pop culture references." And then I got it. I was like, "Yo, they kind of snatched me with this one."
Yeah, it's really
They
good.
did really good. Like they even touched on mental health issues in that one. They touched on like found family, like where you belong, and finding value. Like the themes they touched on was just truly amazing. And they
And
did
no
it in
romance subplot. Hallelujah.
Yeah,
Well, I
right.
mean, besides
No
Fix It
romance subplot.
Felix and
Did you forget the
Fix It Felix and
the Samus parallel character?
the
Oh,
commander
frick! I
chick.
totally forgot about them. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but they're not like the main.
Okay,
main.
I
Yeah.
meant more. Yeah, I meant like a subplot with like the main characters. Like Vanellope and Ralph
Yeah.
are not romantically involved, and that's not like the point of
It was
the
a
movie.
Yeah, because if
lovely
they were,
sibling
the
relationship.
FBI would be kicking down Disney's doors instantly.
It's just a shame that the sequel sucks so
Yeah,
much.
The sequel sucks. So
like here's the thing.
bad.
It's not all bad. Like it does some things where I'm like, oh, I'm glad to see that in the movie. But overall, it's terrible. It doesn't live up to the original. It doesn't even come close to living up to the original. It's extremely disappointing because like the week after Wreck-It Ralph came out, the director was like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that I want to do with the sequel, and he had like a bunch of ideas. I had been waiting for that movie since a week after the original one came out, and I was extremely
boy.
disappointed.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I have
am
never
so
been
sorry.
more disappointed.
Okay, in defense of the sequel, which I am not saying it is good. I am not saying I liked it. I think having a plot that deals with like friendship drama in the way that they did was a very risky and interesting way to tell a story because you don't normally have stories like that. And if they'd done it well, it would have been a really good movie. The problem is that they didn't do it well at all, so it kind of sucked.
Yeah, and like in order for them to make that plot work, they kind of had to Flanderize Ralph and Vanellope's personalities. Like, here's the thing.
Yeah,
Ralph
Ralph
is
he got
like
nerfed.
Ralph
I'm
is
so
actually like if you watch the original movie, he's a rather mature man. Like he kind of has anger issues, but like he's very mature. In the second movie, that is a giant man baby. That is a 9-foot tall child, and it's really concerning.
Yeah,
Also, like, oh no, sorry, you go ahead.
I was gonna say it's like the Ralph's dynamic as being this mature guy who's just trying to do the thing so that way he can fit in. Like he wants to just get that gold trophy, right? He's just trying to get that thing, but he's trying to approach it. He's trying to calculate how he can do it and be mature about it. And then you have Vanellope, who's immature and a little crazy, and she wants to help him out, but she's like kind of getting in his way along the way. Like their dynamics and how it forms into this great sibling relationship along the way was like truly amazing. So when I watched Wreck-It Ralph 2, and all of a sudden it was like he just became a giant Vanellope in a way, I was so mad.
Oh my
'cause I was
gosh,
like,
true.
I just, because it's like the dynamic's gone. The sibling relationship was just destroyed instantly in one fell swoop.
Yeah, I felt that.
I was gonna say the thing that I hate about people making movies about like current culture, like whether it be internet, video games, is they always have a freaking scene where they talk about trolls and how you shouldn't pay attention to them. And it's like if you were raised on the internet, we been knew.
Yeah,
We
like you
been
don't
knew
need to be
this.
told. Like in
You
fact,
don't need to you don't need to have this whole preachy moment about like don't feed the trolls. Like how old are you? Like
also
you
just
must be
saying,
an old person
like
discovering the internet for the first time.
a lot of people who are my age right now on the internet, we grew up as the trolls. So like we know, like you don't have to
Like
it's
we
so
already know not to read
unnecessary.
comments and stuff like that. Like, dude,
I mean, I helped
bro.
bully John Green off Tumblr, so like
Dude,
I was
like,
part
yeah,
of
like,
that crowd. So
I was like a terrible internet child. I was messing with people all day because it was fun. And now I'm like, okay, I understand why that's not that
in
fun.
the
I feel like I'm
absolute
learning new
defense,
things
in the
right
absolute
now.
defense of the Wreck-It Ralph 2 production and creativity team, I can 100% guarantee you that that scene was not something they probably wanted to add in or touch on like that. It was probably a studio executive thing from some old geezers sitting at the top watching stocks rise and fall, that they're like, oh, we got to have a moral message for the kids about trolls, because we've heard from our great grandkids lately about internet trolling, so we got to put something in there. And they made the order and it filtered down, so they had to throw in this scene for that. Because
Yeah,
that
it
would
was
make
horrible.
so much sense.
Oh,
TBH.
straight
gotta
from
remember,
corporate hell, huh?
most of those guys that are working are in their like 30s to 50s. They were like 30 to like 10 years old when the internet first came out. They did their own fair share of trolling, I trust you. Like, and now they're making movies, so they already know about it. But it was people that did not grow up on the internet that are now running these studios that probably made the decision for them to talk about it.
Also,
That totally makes sense, honestly.
if you're going to make a movie about like the internet or internet culture, fine, but you need to tell it in such a way that it doesn't instantly date itself. Because Wreck-It Ralph 2 absolutely did that. So like, haha, look, we're on the internet, haha, Facebook, haha, eBay, and I'm like, if I come back and watch this movie in 10 years, none of these websites are going to be around, and I'm going to cringe. Like I cringed the first time, so
I
you know.
wish Facebook wasn't around.
I mean, like,
Still waiting on
Facebook might
that.
still be around as an entity, but people will not be using it in 10 years, I guarantee you.
That reminds me of a horror film my brother watched, that it would like went into development hell for like 10 years, and so they had to do a lot of different reshoots and stuff. But some of the scenes that they didn't reshoot, they were talking about MySpace, and when the movie came out, MySpace was already dead and gone. So the movie instantly came out as dated, even though it's supposed to be in the current day. And I'm like, oh, you poor souls.
It's kind of like when you
Oof.
release a video game that has like online elements, and then, oh, you know what? Here's a great example. Recently, I've been replaying Bravely Default, which is like a JRPG for people who don't know, and
We
a
love
lot of the
Bravely Default
game,
in this house.
it had like a whole mechanic that was centered around the 3DS's ability to sense other 3DS's, and if you walk by someone, you would get a bonus in the game. Now, me playing it, 5 or 6 years later, people don't walk around with their 3DSs in their pockets anymore. And while that isn't the only way to get the bonuses, it is extremely hard to do so. This feels like the movie version of that,
Yeah.
and it's just terrible. It's awful. I hate it.
It's frustrating because like dealing with your friendships or relationships changing in some way is like a thing that a lot of kids will probably have to go through, and it's things that adults have to go through too. So it's really cool to have that represented in a movie, but they just did it so bad and it's really frustrating.
Shame that it's a terrible movie. But you know.
Yeah, like it really
Like,
is, and it's such. And the first one was so good that I'm like, that's kind of a shame. Like,
Also, like,
Yeah.
it's well animated, but like, given that it comes from Disney, which is like a multi-billion-dollar international corporation, I'm not giving Disney props for having well animated things.
yeah,
That's
Like,
just
you don't
standard.
get that.
yeah. Mm.
Like, if Disney makes a well
Honestly-
animated movie, I'm gonna be like, okay, yes, that was expected of you.
Yeah. Honestly, if you want to praise a movie for good animation, I would honestly say Incredibles 2 would probably have to get that because the like specifically the texturing I'm talking about actually in this movie
Honestly,
is phenomenal in a way that I haven't seen in other movies yet. Like
it did
Dude, the
snap.
hair is
the
beautiful. I just want
detail-
to say, the hair
yeah,
is
like the detail in the skin, the hair. There was like ice that was really good. Like it's just all the texturing and like, it's just so freaking nice. Like it looks so nice. I feel like ever since I took a texturing class in college, I'm like, whenever there's good texturing or detailed texturing, I'm just like a thought for it. Like it's so freaking good.
Also,
Oh, no,
Incredibles
yeah, I-
2 blew me away.
Since this is an animation podcast, I have to say, recently, and you guys can give me your thoughts on these movies too. Recently, and by that I mean in the past 2 days, I watched 2 Pixar movies that I didn't have the chance to see back when they like first came out. The first one was Soul, and the second one was Onward. And Soul, I found to be very impressive from a technological standpoint. Even though I hated like the human character design, I didn't really like. But like the Great Before characters, I really liked them. And like the way that
Yeah,
they
they were good.
appeared to, like, they're obviously 3D models, but like the way they moved and like interacted and appeared to be like 2D characters in a 3D space, I was like, I really like that. I was really vibing with that.
I was
it's
looking
really
at that
nice.
and I'm thinking like, how did they rig this?
Honestly, I think that
Yeah,
all
that's
the
what I was
time when I see
thinking.
that stuff, I'm like, I don't know how you
Yeah.
did this.
Yeah. Okay, I will say that Onward was not good. Like,
You know what? Here's
It
the
was
thing
not
about
good.
Onward. It
Onward
was
bad.
like I really enjoyed watching it, but it's really like kind of mediocre. Like I
it's
think
kinda-
the
it's... No, sorry, go ahead.
oh sorry okay, like the thing that I enjoyed about it was like the way that it kind of romanticizes the idea of having an adventure in a very mundane area, because that really kind of struck at the heart of things that I enjoy doing. But like I don't really connect with the plot. I like Barley. That's about it.
I
That's
think
it.
like it's kind of it's cliche in a way that doesn't really like do it. Like I don't think something being cliche is inherently bad, but when you don't like do the cliche in a different way or add something to it that like kind of spices it up or makes it a little bit different, it's just like kind of boring. I don't know.
I feel that. Like honestly, if someone asked me like why should I watch Onward, I would be like I love Barley, and that's really it.
I think it's a
Like if you
I
don't
think it's oh,
if you
sorry.
don't like that kind of character, then you can skip this movie. That's literally it.
I think it's interesting how it's basically like I don't know if it's a response. Like it feels like it's a response to like the kind of like popularization of D&D. Like it seems very much like a D&D
Yeah.
campaign, which I think is like I guess is like an interesting concept, but like I don't think it was executed that well. You
You know, my
know?
Yeah,
biggest
I-
complaint is they just rehashed the redheaded chef dude from Ratatouille. They gave him a purple
Ratatouille.
skin. They gave him a purple skin. It's the exact same character model, purple skin, and they're like, "Oh, this shy, insecure young man that's not ever been done in a animation film before is the main character. And he has daddy issues." You know who's the most interesting character in that film? His brother.
That's what I'm saying. Barley should have been the main character.
He should have been the main character, and it should have been about him and his desire to go on a quest of the days of old, like he's always wanted to, and he finally gets a chance. And he brings along his younger brother, and his younger brother is like the side character. But it's about Barley always having this desire to go out questing and do stuff like the days of old, but then discovering that life can be a quest, and where no matter where it is, it doesn't have to be on the edge of some mountain or something. Like if they went with a theme like that, the movie could have been so much better. But instead they went, "Oh, I'm a shy, insecure fry cook from France that got a blue skin dye and I have daddy issues."
It's because these people keep
See-
writing characters that resemble them. Anyway, so my point is that
God, you just said that.
He's already dead.
He's already dead.
so yeah, like I watched that movie and I was like, because I knew like the podcast was coming up, so I was like, okay, well let me just get this over with. And I'm like, okay, this one character, I would die for him. The rest of this movie is not very interesting. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, wait.
No,
One
okay,
thing I will-
okay.
Wait. Oh, sorry. You go
No,
ahead.
I had one thing that I was gonna say. It's funny that you say that Barley is the reason that you like the movie. Barley is the reason why I decided never to watch the movie because what's his name?
Serious?
No. Chris Pratt using his big fancy Thor voice for the entire movie made me want to toss myself off a bridge. I hate it.
Okay, but if
Wow.
it fit his character, it was funny because he's trying to
I
be
know
bold.
it
He's
fits,
trying to
but
be
I
like the days of
still
old.
hate it. Doesn't
Ugh.
change the fact that like I hate that voice.
I'm sorry you have COVID and lost your sense of taste.
All Actually,
I
I will.
like Chris Pratt when he's not trying to sound macho. I like twink Chris Pratt. Thank you.
Okay,
Give
actually,
me-
I have.
You can't say that in a Christian podcast.
I mean, she can. She just did.
She just
But,
did.
Again, I'm
I
sorry
will-
to people I know who are watching this.
Okay, I will
Just
say.
Just censor me, I don't know, man.
I will say one more
Okay,
thing about Onward.
okay. My point is, I do have taste because I like the Jurassic Park Chris Pratt. Shut up.
That's not the point.
I mean, like,
that is not
for-
the point. That is
for
not
getting
the
a lot of
point.
Guardians of the
those.
Galaxy Chris Pratt is better.
Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is a great movie. Anyway.
No,
It's my favorite.
Chris Pratt specifically in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah,
is better.
so you just gonna ignore poor Rocket? Get out of my
Stop.
podcast,
Stop.
my studio
Stop.
now.
I'm not gonna simp for a raccoon. I have some amount of dignity left.
Leave me
Can the
alone.
therapist stop?
You're so mean. to me.
Wait, anyway, the thing I was gonna say is the one thing that I think Onward did do really well was like portray like I guess this is spoilers if you haven't seen Onward, but
Whatever.
you probably shouldn't watch it anyway. But one of the things that
Dag.
the main character learns is like he didn't necessarily have the father that he wanted growing up, but like Barley took the place of his father in a lot of ways.
Like you still had like
And,
a
like-
positive role model.
And I think it does a really good job of portraying older siblings because if you are the first or oldest child, like that's you often end up taking a parental role in your younger siblings' lives because oldest child syndrome. And like that there is a point where sometimes you feel more like your sibling's parent than their sibling. And I think it portrays that really well, which is something that I haven't seen really touched on in a movie before, which I thought was actually really sweet and like really like heartwarming because obviously I'm an oldest child and I relate to that, but I just thought it was really sweet. That's the one thing the movie did right in my opinion. But other
Yeah,
than that,
I love that scene because like it's funny because Ian the whole time is like, oh my gosh, Barley is a clown, and then he's like, oh, maybe he actually had like a good. Because I'm thinking about like, because Tangle is my older sibling, and I'm like, yeah, she's a clown. I still love her.
Wow, thanks.
I was waiting. I was like, as soon as Tingle started going off of like the whole older sibling dynamic, I'm like, is this like a call out at Sit? Like she's sick and tired of being your mom or something? Like,
No, no, I actually like. I love having that role in Citron's life. That's not an insult. Or
no, I
dig in
know.
any
I was
way.
just,
Shut up.
okay.
Who said "oh"? Shut up.
I'm gonna sit in my
Jeez.
corner.
Oh yeah, it wasn't like it was not the worst movie I ever seen. I would rewatch it. It was kind of mediocre.
Yeah, it just kind of bored me.
And like what I did like about Soul was like it romanticizes just like the mundane act of living, and I'm like I kind of appreciate that. Like it almost like
I actually
you know-
really like that.
you know how Studio Ghibli like makes even the most boring of tasks seem really like fantastical and magical. It almost seemed like they were trying
Yeah.
to do something like that except Western. And I was like, okay, I kind of vibe with that. Okay.
Also, I think
mean-
it's really interesting that the moral of the movie is something that's very like it's like a contrast to a lot of other movies in the sense that it's like other movies like you gotta do whatever you have to do to fight, especially Japanese media, but Western media does this too as well. But it's like you have to do whatever you can to like fight for your dream, and that's the only thing that matters. But like I think it's really and obviously like work is not bad and having dreams is not bad, but to recognize that you don't live just to produce or just to hustle, I think is a really valuable lesson for anyone really, and that like the act of living and just enjoying the people around you and just enjoying life is just as valuable as working, and that you don't have to be productive to have value or to have purpose. I think
No,
like,
yeah, I
is
mean,
honestly really great.
Wasn't
That's
that
like I
kind of
really
like
actually
the,
did love
Ta-
that.
Tangle knows that I love this movie. Like, we
Yeah.
had a whole discussion about it. She's like, yeah, Yonder likes this movie. And I'm like, is it the reason I'm thinking of? And then she DMs me, and it's exactly the reason that I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
Because y'all know
think
me.
I'm probably gonna try to show it to my parents because I feel like they might enjoy it. But it's a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thought it was good.
It's the Enya 3 movie, TBH. Like
Shut up.
Shut
it just be that no, you shut up.
Stop.
It just be
Please
that
stop.
way. No, I will never stop.
No, she's right though. She's right though. It is my movie.
Yeah. I honestly like it is the Enya 3 movie, but I think anyone who especially who has like wants to get into a creative career, I think will relate to this because I think when you have a dream to be in a creative field, whether it be music, art, like stuff like that, there's a different kind of hustling that has to happen than if you want a more traditional career, I think.
Mhm.
So I think anyone who does like creative stuff would probably
Yeah,
relate to the movie. as well.
Especially like when am I allowed to specify specifics about the movie at all, or
We'll just say
Sure.
spoilers for the movie from this point on, so don't.
okay, because I know everyone here has watched it, but I
Mm.
think that there was a scene where Joe is mentioning I was born to play, I was born to do this, I was meant to do this. That's kind of how I felt about storytelling as long as I can remember. I go, I want to do this for the rest of my life. This is what I want to do. What do I have to do it? And then I do it. And it's just when people ask me like, how did you know that you wanted to do this? And I just go, it's just in my blood. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just who I am. So like it's for me, Soul, I see myself in the main character, basically one to one. Even down to like where he's like chasing after this goal of like, once I reach this specific goal of doing this one specific thing, I'm going to be fulfilled. And I've had those moments where like, okay, when I get accepted, I'm going to be fulfilled. When I get my first job, I'm going to be fulfilled. When I do XYZ, I'm going to be fulfilled. And then there's like that sense of of excitement for like 2 seconds, and then you go, wow, life is kind of the same, except this is now happening. And it's this weird mindscape of like, I mean, you can kind of see why this movie was basically a giant call out at me, and that's the reason why I super enjoyed this movie, because it really did help me kind of point out the areas that I need to work on, as far as like not striving after this romanticized version of success, this romanticized version of that if you get this one thing, that if your passions align and you're famous and you make the money and you have your name on the title screen of this thing or whatever, that you're going to be happy. You're not. You're not going. It's not going to make you happier. You're gonna have that sense of accomplishment for maybe 2 seconds, and then it's like, okay, back to work. It's from that I learned that like, okay, I can't be looking for the finish line, because that finish line is non-existent. That finish line for me is when I'm on my deathbed. That's my finish line. So trying to race towards that is not going to do anything for me. It's going to make life pass by. I'm sorry, I'm going off, but like I feel like this is an
No, go
important
ahead.
thing to dig into. Is that up until a few months ago, I would constantly put off talking to friends, watching movies, going out to do this or that, because I'd be like, oh no, I have work, I'm busy, or I need to work on this assignment, I'm busy, or there's I have like a list of video games I keep putting off because I'm like, oh, I want to get this thing done, or I want to get that thing done, or I want to get that thing done. Life is passing me by because I have basically become obsessed with my passion. And I mean, the whole lost soul thing is such a weird concept. I think it's probably the weakest concept in the movie, but there is some merit to it, that you can become so engulfed with what you love that it becomes more of like a more of a compulsion. This weird like, uh, I don't know. It's just weird to explain, but it will kind of allow me to kind of slowly, I mean, plus also seeing the movie and kind of getting my wig snatched that way. But I was talking to my therapist, if I'm allowed to dig into that a little bit,
Sure.
a few months ago, where I was mentioning, I feel lonely all the time. I still feel unfulfilled or just alone. And he goes, have you tried talking to people? And I'm like, wait, hold on.
Wow.
Because I was basically like, okay, I'm doing what I need to do in life. I just need to learn to be content. It turns out emotions are an indicator, hello,
Yep.
that the loneliness is actually a sign of, hey, call your aunt. They haven't called in like 2 months. Go call her. Your friend invites you to a stupid game night. Go to the game night. Live your darn life. My word. It's like, I cannot fully articulate I mean, I still have a long way to go. The 180 that I have taken mentally, because I am able to, take my eyes off my darn like obsession with success for like 2 seconds to just appreciate the moment, that it's like, okay, it allows me to value more, like, okay, my best friend is calling me up, she wants to go get lunch. All right, let's go get lunch. Okay, I'm feeling kind of down today, maybe I'll go bug my friend and see if they need someone to talk to. I mean, this is a topic that can go on and on and on and on, but like, it, when basically when you're someone like me that is very tunnel visioned in their direction, in their goal, who's very like, I want this or I will die. That's how I feel like. It's like, if I don't get this, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. It's like I get this or I don't, or yeah, I don't know. I'm losing my words here. I'm sorry.
No, you're
but
good.
but I'm having to let go and just understand that I have my goals and things that I absolutely feel like I cannot live without. I think I've established that by now. But you have to learn to let go to an extent and understand that you can't be rushing towards that finish line because that finish line is death. You have to understand that your goals, once you reach one goal, there's another goal, then there's another goal, then there's another goal. It's like, prepare for your education, prepare for school, then prepare for college, and prepare for your career, then prepare for retirement, and then death. Then prepare for skeleton.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
also not to like Christ post on main, but to
No,
absolutely
but you
Christ
absolutely
post on
should.
main.
Yep.
Should.
Yeah.
Please.
It honestly what Yonder is describing, and I think what Soul actually gets at that I think actually is really in line with like biblical theology is like if you've read Ecclesiastes, it kind of talks about how like everything we do is vanity because we will all end up dead in the end and the work will go to somebody else or you'll never see the acclaim that your work gets or yada yada yada. And I
Mhm.
think because of stuff like that, it's important that you have to find your satisfaction in Christ because it's the only thing that is going to last. It's the only thing that's going to like fulfill you. Not to say that you shouldn't work, like work is good. God has given us passion and work as a way to like do good and to glorify him, and he's given us friends and community as a way to glorify him and feel get that need for companionship that we all have fulfilled, and that's good and you should have those things. But to seek those things as a fulfillment as a means to an end in and of itself will never satisfy you, and like Christ is the only thing that can really do that. So I think that's like a great honestly I think it's great that you got all of that out of the movie, and I hope that a lot of other people get something that's similar out of the movie. But yeah, not to Christ post on main, but
Nah,
to
go off, mate.
absolutely
Go
Christ
off,
post
mate.
on main. Yeah,
Nah,
that's what I was
Ecclesiastes
thinking.
is exactly the book that gave me like a crisis. So like, yeah, maybe 8.
Yeah. Ecclesiastes is an awesome book, honestly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
Honestly,
yeah,
it
that was
probably saved my life in a lot of ways because I used to have a very strong like God complex, savior complex, and I had to like control things and make things happen and do things the right way. And then I read Ecclesiastes and Solomon's like nothing matters at all, just nothing matters except God. And I'm like, bruh, you are so right. And that like kind of opened my Christian third eye there, and really changed me around for the better, having read Ecclesiastes. You know, that it's all for the glory of God, and everything else ultimately is like it's passing. Sweat it, bro. Like, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It do be like that though.
Do be
Okay,
like
so
that, yeah.
I have to make an executive decision. We have to cut this crap off because I'm pretty sure we've been on here for an hour and 30 minutes. I have to do sprite edits for every single character, and which means I have to listen to the whole thing all the way through every time. We have to
Well,
stop.
I did mention about 20 minutes ago that we were at an
Yeah,
hour and a half.
Yeah, I
I
know,
read
but
that, but I was like, we were like we were in the zone, you know, and I was like, I
yeah,
don't know when
Sorry.
to stop
now
it.
now
This is
we
my
need to
fault.
get
I
out of the zone.
decided to go off.
Okay,
Like we
so
can,
that was
I
a great
still,
discussion, y'all. That was a
I
great
still have
discussion.
more things to talk about, so maybe we can do like part 2 because we clearly went off on the media. But
Yeah.
You know what we should do is
We
like
should.
have an opening question, and then from there it just go wherever
Well,
instead of
exactly.
trying
I
to
That's
didn't.
set a
basically
topic.
what the plan was.
right.
Okay.
Well, what we can do is our
That's pretty much the
segue.
goal.
Is that because this time we were just talking over like movies and stuff, and then I remember Sit was saying she had like a list of games, and
Yeah.
then I had no idea we were going to go over games, so now I have to go and make my own list because I'm the other video game dev main in this chat. So
Yeah, I said
What do you mean, game dev?
I said media because I want to give people the freedom to not just do animated stuff. So like if I typically will not specify because I want you guys, like if you want to talk about video games, we can talk about video games. Like I won't have much to say because I don't really play video games, but I do want you guys to talk about it. But,
Bless you.
yeah.
Yeah, I think great
Again,
talk. We definitely went a lot of places, and we definitely were in the zone. So
Yeah, I didn't want to stop us because I was like, we vibing. Like I don't want to cut up. Like I don't want to just cut it off like right in the middle. You know.
Yeah,
But yeah,
alright,
we've
so
been recording
basically,
for a
we are
long
done.
time. We've probably been recording for 2 hours at this point because Philip sent that.
An hour and 40 minutes so far.
Yeah.
Ish.
So.
But yeah, okay, we're done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like on the video if you liked it. If you didn't like it anyway. Leave a comment for the algorithm.
Check out our
and
check out
social
our
media is
Twitter
gonna be
and
in the description.
Instagram and Tumblr and
Like, I'm
subscribe
in the
and
middle
not
of
talk
talking,
over
I
each
hate you.
other. Are we talking over each other right now? Is that what we're gonna do?
Yes.
You
Apparently.
can't see it, but I'm dabbing so hard right now.
Thank you.
Okay, I
All
have to
right.
figure out how to
Bye.
make